Every week we bring in someone who's a blessing to our community and someone who's doing a great job. So we're excited to have with us tonight. We have the director of the Booker T. Washington and the founding principal, our special guest, Brother John Taylor. How you doing, my brother? God bless you.
I am good. Thank you,
Right now,
Dr. Jerry.
get a chance.
I am
Right.
good.
All right, good to have you on the show, man. All right, all right. Well, first of all, let's start off. Are you from New Haven? Are you born and raised in New Haven?
No, I'm not.
Okay.
I've actually been here now 12 years.
12 years, okay.
I'm from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
I'm born and raised, Steeler fan for life.
So you remember back in the day with John Stower,
Oh, 100%.
Les Swan, and Terry Bradshaw, Franco Harris.
Yeah, I grew up
Steel
in the
Curtain.
70s. So
Okay.
Yeah. It was the greatest thing in the world.
That was the greatest football team of all time to me.
Of all time, I would
Steel
agree.
Curtain.
I would agree.
Me, Joe Green, all the boys. All right, so what made you come to New Haven? What happened?
So I was actually recruited here by Pastor Eldred Morrison, who was the founder of Booker T. Washington Academy.
Okay.
And he asked me to come and lead his school.
Lead his school, okay.
And I decided to hitch my cart to him. And he led and we fought. So I think we built him something pretty special.
Okay, so
here in New Haven.
Well, what is it like from New Haven to Pittsburgh? Is a big difference, city-wise?
Yeah, there were a couple of stops in between, but Pittsburgh's a much larger city.
Yeah.
The culture is very different. Pittsburgh being a steel town, not a big, a black middle class,
Okay.
Blue collar kind of town.
Okay. Hard worker, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, how important is education? Would you say you're in the school system? How important is education, especially for our young kids with all this advanced technology taking place? You got the drones, everything taking place, AI. How important is education today?
It's still the most important thing in the world. I know growing up, we always heard get an education because it's the one thing that people can't take away from you.
That's right.
So that hasn't changed. And the foundation and fundamentals of even all these new iterations of technology, still, education at the core of that. And our young people need to learn, there's some things that they're getting in school that's going to transfer no matter what they do.
Right.
So they got to learn how to socialize, how to think critically, how to work with others, be a part of a team. All those things, no matter what it is that you get into, you got to master those skills.
Okay. Now what are some of the challenges would you say our young kids are facing today, in the school system? I mean, I know they got to deal with the gun violence, school violence, and a lot of kids even afraid to go to school now. I'm with my grandchildren all the time. They live in Charlotte, North Carolina, but with all this violence taking place in the school system and stuff, what are some of the other challenges kids are facing today?
Yes, that's definitely a challenge. Safety first. Who would have ever thought that sending your kid to school would you'd have to have concerns about something happening to them while they're in school. So that's crazy. But probably equally as important is the lowered bar that exists in schools these days for our kids. We make excuses for why kids aren't achieving versus keeping the bar high and asking them to work to that level of excellence. Because on some level, I think, and in a lot of cases, kids are being set up for failure in the future.
Okay.
Because they're going to go out there and compete with everybody
Right.
for opportunities. And if you aren't already on that sort of track to always reach for excellence, you're going to fall short. So that's the scariest thing in the world for me, that we now make excuses for why our kids aren't achieving versus holding to a really high standard.
Okay, now you're the CEO, the John Taylor of Elevate Charter School. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so Elevate Charter Schools, we started the Booker T. Washington Academy in 2013.
Okay.
So this year we just finished the 11th year of the Booker T. Washington Academy. And somewhere along the way, we started to talk about how we can take what we have built at Booker T and expand it to other schools, increase the impact that we're having on children and families. And so in 2022, we decided to spin off LMA Charter School, which is a charter management organization, and start to play a larger role in the launch and support of other schools. So right now, we also are a management company for the Danbury International Academy Charter School.
Okay.
That's going to be opening soon. We also offer a menu of services to other schools. And in that regard, we're working with Dr. Boise Kimber and his new school.
Let's talk about this school.
Yeah, Edmonds Cofield Preparatory
Dr.
Academy.
He's doing a great job. Okay.
Oh yeah. He's all about the community.
Yes.
And for a long time, he's been trying to get this single gender school off the ground. Wanted to focus on young men because they're the ones that are struggling the most in school.
Right.
Graduation rates, the level at which they go from high school into college is significantly lower than the young ladies. They're graduating at a lower rate. They lead the state in suspensions, low grades, dropout, et cetera, et cetera. So he wanted to disrupt that problem. And so really, really excited that we're getting the opportunity to partner with them and provide support in launching that school as well.
So how excited are you then and what you're doing there?
Well, I'm doing what I feel like I was called to do.
Okay.
Right. So, anything that elevates our community and helps, kids and families improve their lot in life, I would do this for free. It's a blessing that I get paid for it. Don't get me wrong.
It's a passion.
But I'm doing what I enjoy.
It's a passion. What I do, I can get paid a lot more money.
Yeah.
But it's a passion.
Yeah.
And so that's my next question.
Yeah.
How has God blessed you over the years? Because if you do something out of passion, and you feel that God called you to do it, then God's gonna bless you.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because like Dr. Wayne said earlier, if the door is open, can nobody close that door?
Yeah.
So how excited are you, and how has God blessed you over the years? What you're doing, especially for the kids.
Yeah. I feel like God put me here. I had a pretty interesting upbringing.
Okay.
And but God looked out for me. I feel like I always had sort of like an angel on my shoulder.
Okay.
My brother served in life plus 40, and he and I were doing a lot of the same things.
Wow.
So I feel like I felt like, because I was actually in college for accounting, and then I was going to go to law school, corporate law, and I was a pretty good student. And something happened to me that opened my eyes to the need that I had to commit to giving back to the community. A young kid pulled a pistol off. I just taken my grandmother shopping, and I'm driving, and I'm coming up, in Pittsburgh, coming up beside a funeral. They were at the cemetery, and all the kids were draped in red. So I knew it was somebody who was a blood and been murdered likely. And when the kids crossed the street, they blocked the traffic, and one kid banged on the hood of my car. And I could not believe that he had done that. Of course, the veins are popping. I'm ready to jump out of the car, and then he produced a pistol.
Wow.
And started tapping on my window with a pistol. Looking at me like, and I experienced rage, like anger and fear. And those two emotions aren't supposed to ever touch. It was so unsettling, man. I didn't know what to do with that. And I talked to some people who I look at as mentors, and they said, if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem.
Right.
And there's nobody working with these young people. And I switched my major from accounting to education, and I've been in this work pretty much ever since. So I feel like I was called to this work. Every time I try to leave, I get drugged back into it some kind of way. But
God had you back to it.
Yeah, 100%.
Especially the guy at the pistol.
Yep.
Because it wasn't your time, and God had you back.
Yep.
That was the angel that's on your shoulder.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
So that's a good God is.
Yep.
If I could
Wait,
just jump in there 1 second, because I thank God for you coming, man, and I know it's gonna be epic, and we definitely have to have you back and come on location. You know, but I commend you, man, because it's a lot of challenges with our young people today. And I thank God for you, you know, giving us, me and Terrence, the opportunity coming in, teaching them the teledrones a couple summers ago, you know, and it really opened up a door, you know, and so, you know, it's really a time, and I like, you know, the name of the charter school, you know, elevate, you know, it's about elevating the mind. You know, I always say, you know, it's like an elevator ride that we get on in life. You know, there are different floors and different levels that we have to get to, and when that door open up, we have to open up to that level.
Right.
You know, so you know, I look at it in that aspect, but it's so much in the way things are happening. And I thank God for you, because our young people, you know, a mentorship, you know, a brother in place, you know, and it's a good thing that that can, and that they can excel, because, you know, to a next generation, you know, they need to see our people.
That's right.
You know, that we need to be in the classrooms, you know, be there, you know, encouraging them along the way. You know, because things are evolving, and we have to evolve the way things are evolving, and we have to elevate.
100%.
Yes, sir.
100%.
Yes, sir.
You know, we just celebrated our 4th cohort of 8th grade graduates at Booker T today. It was beautiful. Incredible ceremony. Parent turnout was amazing. But one of the things that I'm proudest of is that we were recognized by the state for they added a whole new category of accountability, which is readiness for college. And Booker T, the scholars that have left that school and gone on to high school was one of the highest in the state.
Ooh, man, that's so right, man. Come on.
Passing all their classes and having success in high school. And so when I watch our scholars who, you know, at some point they push back on our hard, we push them. That's what I mean. We don't lower the bar, Booker. We maintain that standard.
Come on.
And we say you got to get it squared away. It's up to you, right?
Yeah.
I heard the valedictorian today said, her mother told her, you've got to care about take your education seriously, because if you don't take you seriously, nobody else will.
That's right.
And like, that touched my heart to hear that youngster. She heard that, and she's living it. You know, where she represented the school as a school valedictorian. But really proud of the work that we're doing, and I just want to spread that love, and that's the reason for Element Charles.
The state proud. All right, this is Action First Broadcast. I'm Dr. Jerry Greenlow and Dr. Wayne McQuaid. Our special guest is the founding principal of the Booker T. Washington School, Brother John Taylor. We're excited to have him in the studio with us tonight. And like I said, every Thursday we try to bring in someone who's a blessing. This guy is definitely a blessing.
Yeah.
What keeps you motivated and encouraged, man? You know, what keeps you going? You know, you gotta have that motivation, man.
Yeah. The work is hard, but when I see kids growing, and I get to see kids from where they started, you know, we're handing them off between grade 8 and 9. I've been blessed to have also been the founder in the past of a high school, single gender school for young men in Albany, New York. Probably the best work I ever did, because it was so aligned to who I am. I'm a high school person. I was a high school teacher, high school principal. So like I like being able to hand those young men off to college, right? And to really push them. And the thing that keeps me going is I've been able to maintain a relationship with a lot of those young men, and to see how they're doing as grown men, and to see how they're raising their kids. And a lot of the sort of character traits that we really pushed, they're holding their young people, their own kids.
Right,
Kind of on that same level.
Let me ask you a question, because when I went to Lee High School, I graduated in 73 years ago now.
Okay.
But kids are bad back then too.
Okay.
We were bad back then. Now, when I watch the movies like The Principal, you know, also some of the movies about high school, you know, even the one, what's that movie with Morgan Freeman? How was it in
Lean on me.
Lean on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is the school system like that? Some of the schools in the urban cities, or how would you say as a principal, if you had to be a principal of one of those type of schools, how would you handle something like that? You know, Morgan Freeman, like I said, yeah, Lean on Me, and other, the principal, and some of the movies like that. Because even
Cooley High.
yeah, even our principal, we had Robert Shred. He passed away, I believe, but he was a kid's person. You know, if he saw me doing wrong, he put me to the side. Jerry, you know, I'm not gonna get you in trouble, but boom, boom, boom. You know, how do the principals got to deal with that type of situation?
Yeah, I mean, Lean on Me, one of my favorite movies. Morgan Freeman killed that role.
Yeah.
The principle, and we have to stop. I believe this deeply, and I say this to all young people who want to become principals.
Okay.
We can't allow other folk to tell us how we engage with our kids,
Right.
because there aren't enough principals who are from the culture, who understand the families, who know that those kids know better, who believe that those kids can do better. And, you know, a lot of times what I've found over the years, and I think it's getting worse instead of better, is that freedom to bring your true cultural self to the work is limited. You know what I mean? Like Morgan Freeman, like that, he couldn't be that principal in his day and age.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Totally changed.
Oh, they were running him out of the profession. Where like
kids run him out, or the system,
the powers that be,
Yeah.
would run him out. Or nowadays, all it takes is one or two parents that disagree with your style, and they could run you out. You know, they can leverage social media and everything else, and write letters and do the thing, and the kids get hurt by that. So when I ran my school in New York, you know, I mean, I knew every last single one of those babies. We started with just grade 9, and then we grew to grade 12. Every year we added another 9th grade, 10, 11, 12. And I was tough on them early on, because I brought the noise. It was like, like the violence ain't happening here. Like, I know what y'all doing out there. Y'all not bringing that mess in here.
Okay.
We ain't doing that.
Okay.
We literally, you know, in a town that everybody is affiliated one way or another, because they have uptown, downtown, and
Right.
So if you live downtown and somebody's fighting from uptown, you don't engage, you can't go home. So it's a very community-based kind of gang culture, and albeit everybody said it will be impossible in an all-boys school, bringing people together from downtown to uptown. But we said we're just not doing that. We are just not having that. We had 3 fights in 5 years. I had 450 boys.
That's not bad.
Wow.
I had 450 boys.
Come on.
But we created a culture where we were taking care of each other.
Okay.
That's it. That's
And our
it.
whole thing was, we don't fight green. We in this together. You like the brotherhood here is we look out for each other. We're not here to hurt each other.
Okay.
And the kids bought into that.
It bought into the system.
But we have to, man, we have to protect our leaders to make sure that they still have autonomy to do what they know is right for the kids that we serve. You know, it's tricky.
Okay, so how difficult would you say, you know, in these urban cities as well, being the principal, especially if we talk about the gun violence, you know, kids bringing the gun to school, and you got to deal with the trauma, the bullying, and that's always been there. That's not going to stop, because you have bullies. How difficult is it, man, for nowadays for a principal? Is it tough?
Oh, it's a tough job. There's no question about it.
Underpaid and all that. I mean, tough.
You know, I don't know. I mean, if you're doing it for the money, principals are well paid.
Okay.
I don't think it's a matter that I even think, you know, people say teachers don't make enough. There's a lot of other professions make a lot less. And I think they closed that gap.
Okay.
Back in the day, when I started, and I've been in this work almost 30 years.
Okay.
And when I started, the pay for a teacher was in the low 30s.
Okay.
Start teachers now are making almost 60. That's not horrible for somebody to actually degree. There's other professions that aren't paying that. So I don't really buy that argument. I just feel like, either you're built for it or you're not. I think too often, you know, my favorite saying from Mike Tomlin from the Steelers, where he always said, "I want volunteers, not hostages." So I want people who want to be here and will be regardless. The pay, all that is immaterial. It's secondary.
Right.
I want to make a difference working in urban centers with students that look like me, and I want to staff for those people. Right? And if you have a staff of those people who understand how to hold conversations with folk and hold young people responsible to how they were raised, then 99% of the kids that we work with know better.
Yes.
But they go to school and pretend like they don't.
Right.
And the folk who are in front of them start to, you know, stereotype them and say, "Oh, they just don't know better," and they don't hold them to any standard. So that's the thing. Like you gotta go in saying, "Look, I know you know better.
Yes,
I know how your parents are raised. You're being raised in the same way I was raised. You don't get between right and wrong. You've been to church, and if you haven't been, your grandma put it on you, right? All your life. So you understand what's expected, but then you come here and show up and show out in a way that's disrespecting not only your family but your race. Like keep it real. And like we gotta be able to have those conversations with kids and be, you know, nowadays old people are scared to have those conversations.
Yeah. You know,
somebody's gonna be offended by it, and next thing you know, they're being canceled.
You know what? If I could jump in 1 second, because for years, the NYSP program, I used to handle all the disciplinary stuff. My cousin Queenie Edwards, she ran the camp programs over at Payne Whitney Gym. And so one of the things I used to handle the discipline, they had a creed. They developed a creed. And I remember that thing to this day. And a lot of the kids that if they were fighting or something, I had to send them home. And they already knew if they got sent home because mom and dad, they had to get off work or somebody had to be there at the house. So that just caused another confusion. Right. So I don't want to send you home because you already know what's going to happen when I send you home. Right. So the creed, and I remember the creed went like this. It said, "I'm a good sport at all times. I conduct myself with decency and honesty. I put forth my best effort in all competitions. Walk tall, talk tall, stand tall." So what I used to do when I sent them home, when they came back, they had to know that. They had to recite it before them. So when they said, "Well, I'm a good sport at all times," stop. What do that mean?
That's right.
I conduct myself with decency and honesty. Stop.
Yep.
What do that mean? You know, so and a lot of the kids that I mentored and helped when I disciplined them in that area with the creed, right. I see them now today. And I say, "You remember the creed?" And the big old smile come on their face, you know, and a lot of them are very successful. They're either in athletics, they're sports trainers. Some went on to college, you know, and it was one kid, man, he played ball for UConn. And Darryl, I can't think of his last name right off the top of my head. But anyway, this kid, man, he didn't like getting on the rollers. And we should take them out to Derby Avenue to the boathouse underwater, and they had the rowing machines and all this thing at Payne Whitney Gym. And the boy, he didn't want to participate in that. Only thing he wanted to do was play ball. So I got to the point I would make him sit out and playing ball till he would participate in the rowing and getting into, you know, going out on the boat, on the field, on the water, and being able to go out. And so what ended up happening, I had sat him down and talked, and I said, "You know what?" I said, "Now, this rowing machine, you want to be able to dunk. You want to build up your legs using this machine. This is something that you really need." And then it registered to him. And then it was no more complaints. And then the next year, I seen the boy, he dunking the ball. You know, so, you know, some things that, you know, is very, we have to, like you said, you know, with our young people, have to let them understand the value of our culture.
That's right. That's right.
they have to understand that, now I changed the narrative, it's about, we want to change the community. I said, we have to correct some things with the community and we have to bring back the village, but we village. We value the village, and have to let them see their worth. Yeah. That's very important.
Yeah.
But that's that.
Well, no, I mean, you 100%, you connected him to A, something that he cared about, right? Mm-hmm. But also to the real world. What's the value add of doing this thing this way, right? It's going to make you better at that thing you want to do. And that's super important. We got to ensure that what we're teaching kids, we're always making those connections.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about your education, what college and all that.
Yeah.
Not easy.
Well, I mean, two things. I said this to some parents I was talking to yesterday over at Schofield, for students, and I said to the parents, I said, my path to where I am now was a windy one, to where I had probably a less than stellar start Pittsburgh Public Schools.
Okay.
I think we had a really strong elementary school. Love my principal, brother, Dr. Briscoe, love that man. But after that, it was all downhill. Never saw a black administrator or anything all the way through 12th grade. Tended to be a little bit of a cut up in school. But, went to college and failed initially. And too embarrassed to come home. Went to the military, served, did 4 years, came back. Went back to school at GI Bill. Now I'm serious.
Wow.
So I started community college, got there, took some remedial classes, transferred to a 4-year college, Duquesne University. Came out of there, number one in my class. Summa cum laude, 3.97 GPA. Thank you. So wasn't wrong with the brain, man. It just wasn't being motivated. It wasn't being, And so since then, went to Harvard University. And then most recently, Stanford University. 5 years ago, graduated as a member of the first ad leaders program that Stanford put out. I was in that first cohort, so that's really exciting. Some big wigs, man. I mean, a lot of superintendents from Miami-Dade, like big cities, were part of that program. So it felt.
Wow, you're a very educated brother, nobody like that.
Yeah. All right. But I believe, I probably wasted 5 to 7 years in there because I didn't take school seriously when I was young.
Right. Okay.
That's what I tell young people. That story should never be your story.
Come on.
Because you had the opportunity to get that start, and then there's no limits to what you can do.
That's right.
Right?
Okay. So one of my questions: who inspired you growing up? Then, who inspired you?
When I mentioned it, Dr. Briscoe, man. When I looked at between him, my father was in the street, and wasn't always there for us. He was kind of a part-time father. But my mother pretty much raised us, 5 of us on her own. So I didn't have that role model. I got it at school. Dr. Briscoe was the guy. And then my Uncle James, was in the military.
Okay.
Lifer Air Force. So those are sort of like my examples.
Yep.
And then in church, there was a brother named Daryl Pennyway.
Okay.
Who embraced me because he saw I was heading off in the wrong direction. And he grabbed hold of me and gave me a job. He had a sanitation company. And he would pick me up every Saturday, man. So I got a truck. Put me on the truck with him. And I know what he's doing now. Yeah. But back then, I didn't appreciate it. My mother made me do it. But he was really just looking out. So I've been blessed to have people step up and be supportive. And then my mother, greatest role model in the world. My mother to me is amazing. I mean, she went to college while I was in the military.
Wow.
And I was like, she can do it. I know I can do it.
That's right. That's a great story, man. That's a great story, man.
Yeah.
Look at a lot of people. We all have a story to tell. But that's a great story. Now, since you brought up fathers, you said your father's got a part-time, Father's Day is this Sunday.
Yeah.
I'm a dad. You're a dad?
I'm a dad.
Okay. What can the fathers do, you feel, that can help our children even more or help, what can the father do to be a good dad, in your opinion?
Yeah, just own the fact that when you father a child, you have a responsibility to that child all the way until they're ready to take on responsibility for themselves and others.
Mhm.
And you know, we don't need to be paid for it. We don't need, like, they don't owe us anything.
Oh, no.
Like when we father a child, we created that responsibility.
You got boys and girls.
And,
Yes.
and I have one daughter. My
One
daughter,
okay.
28 years old, lives in Austin, Texas, doing really well for herself.
Okay.
Still in my pocket.
Mhm.
But you know, same sort of thing. You know, I don't think she appreciates the sacrifices that, you know, that we made. You know, myself, my wife, made on her behalf. But that's okay,
Right.
because that's our responsibility to make sure that we position her, you know, for a better future. And so we did that. I feel good about that.
Right. The reason I asked about a boy or a girl because I got one of each.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
And to raise a boy is a little different than raising a girl. My daughter should be 49 years old. She's up
Okay.
there.
Okay.
Yeah, she's still in my pocket too. Like you
Okay.
said.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
you know, still dad, you know, both of them is dad. You know, but it's a blessing, man, just to be a father.
Yeah. 100%.
It's a blessing to be a father. So I'm looking forward to Father's Day and all the dads. You be on a salute right now.
Yep.
But listen,
Because we get a bad rap.
Yeah.
Dads get a bad rap.
listen.
Mother's Day, oh man, oh.
I was telling them last Sunday. I said, you know, it's one thing on Mother's Day, if you go out to eat, you can't find you got
Everybody take mama out.
you got to wait at least an hour and a half,
That's right.
2 hours.
Yeah, that's right.
I said, but on Father's Day, we ain't gonna have no problems.
Yeah.
We'll be,
That's
and then that's the truth.
That is the thing, for sure.
Yeah, well, but we know you're a spiritual man on top of that. You know, it's a spiritual warfare. The enemy wants to get the man out of the house. You know, he wants, because father is the head of the house.
Yeah.
And if you get your dad drinking or whatever you want to do, his job is to bring up the family and start with the dad. So that's why I got to applaud, especially our black fathers.
Come on, man.
You know, I got to applaud them, man.
Yeah.
All right, what is your greatest? But let me just say it again. We're speaking live. Our special guest is the founding principal of Booker T. Washington School, our brother John Taylor. What is your greatest accomplishment that you're the most proud of? I know you got a lot of accomplishments. Okay?
Yeah.
But if you had to pick one that you're the most proud of, maybe the military or, you know, being a principal, or give me an accomplishment that you're the most proud of. I know you got to think about it.
You know, I mean, it's hard to just say, you know, 1, 2, or 3, but I could say just my daughter,
okay.
and seeing how even keeled, confident, she turned out to be an amazing adult and a beautiful human.
Okay.
So I take that, but I will also say I've been married a couple times, right?
Okay.
And my wife now, the work to become a good husband, to me, you know, for real, in a relationship that we had, because the boy, she stayed on. I mean, she had standards, you know what I mean? She wasn't lower the bar for me.
Right.
And I cared enough about her to step up. But, you know, just the work that I put in just on that level, on my interpersonal relationship with my wife, I'm real proud of where we are as a couple. You know, we've been together a little over 20 years.
Okay.
And I like who I am right now,
Right.
as a man, right? So I'm proud of that. And then Green Tech, man, that all boys school that I built, man, we made some incredible young men.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I still, you know, now they got kids.
That's what I'm talking about. Talk about
To
it.
see them and how well they're doing and how much they appreciate what we built for them. They're giving back to, they're working at the school, and it's amazing.
Awesome.
That's amazing. So that legacy also is that. So a lot of things I think I've done, and I'm extremely proud
And be proud of.
those are probably my top.
See, that's why when we first started the show, I said they're having Dr. Wayne's having a celebration for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Now when I said this is the third celebration.
Okay.
Anytime somebody celebrates you,
Yeah.
Okay, because my pastor said, I don't want to do your birthday.
Yeah.
Because I know you be 70, anybody have a birthday party.
Right.
Now we want to celebrate you.
Right.
So anytime somebody take the time to celebrate you, you must do something good.
Yeah. You made a difference.
You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
so that's and I want people to understand that we're gonna leave a legacy behind.
Come on, that's it.
Yeah.
Right there.
Okay.
That's it.
See,
Yeah.
see, just like my niece is coming up from Florida. All right, they've never been to this station before. I told my brother I wanted you to bring her here.
Okay.
Because I want to put a picture up in here too. I want to see all the pictures I met, all the artists I met over the years.
Yeah.
Because that's a legacy I'm leaving behind. All the gospel artists I just about met.
Okay.
Even R&B artists before I got saved.
Okay.
But the only difference, I didn't have a picture to show because I didn't have no camera.
Okay, got
I met like the Temptations,
Uh-huh.
I met like Donnie Hathaway,
Uh-huh.
I met them all as a kid.
Mhm.
But I had no picture to show.
Okay.
But I said when I get in the gospel, and when I meet these artists, taking pictures because that's legacy you leave behind.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
No
be
question about it.
proud because God leave us here for a reason.
Yeah.
And when we want to stir and inspire the next generation as well,
Yeah.
if I can do it, you can do it as well.
Yep.
You can be even better than me.
Yeah.
So that's why I said I asked that question. Most I know Dr. Wing wanted to say something.
Man, listen, man, y'all just
I know we're gonna
listen.
get done with you, but
I know, but listen, this thing, and I want to commend both of y'all because, see, when we think about Abraham, God said, I call you to be a father to what? Many
many
nations,
nations, right?
right? The impact that you touch when we can touch brothers' lives,
That's right.
that they can impact the next generation coming behind them as well. So that is truly a representation because we are seeds of Abraham.
Amen.
So operate in your seed. Let that seed flourish because that it has to germinate. It has to go on from one generation to the next generation, and that's what a fatherhood really means. Because we are fathers to many.
That's right.
Praise
That's right.
God.
That's right.
Yeah.
Father of the
So I understand about we are the seeds of Abraham. Operate in that seed.
That's right.
It's about the fatherhood that we take on. Because it's not just, and I bring it to you even in another light. Because, see, God knew the dysfunction of the world. Every time, Christmas time, everybody think about the manger and Jesus in the manger. But it's deeper than that.
That's right.
God was showing us the dysfunction of the world. He put his son in Mary, but Joseph had to be a stepfather to Jesus.
That's right.
He raised Jesus. We stepped into other men's stead and raised their children, just like being a father to many, raising up other young black men
That's what we
as being a father figure to them. Come on now.
That's right. People watch
So
our
God
lives.
was showing us the dysfunction in the world.
That's right. And still like
He was showing us our now back then.
that's right.
So we have to embrace that fatherhood. See, it's a whole different aspect about the Abraham seed. Come on, somebody.
All right.
Man,
All right.
listen.
Yeah. So you can orient out.
I'm telling you, man, I feel it. He in the building. But I respect y'all, and I don't tip my hat to many people. Come on, somebody. But I tip my hat to y'all gentlemen because I know and I understand. And what y'all carry, man, listen, y'all are really father figures to our brothers.
Now another question: how important is faith to you? How important is faith?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I don't want to embarrass myself. I don't go to church like I probably should. But I was raised as a Jehovah's Witness.
Okay.
Yeah, my mother was Jehovah's Witness, so she took us to King Hall, man, twice a week, and then we had Bible study. So I was raised, with the Bible, like studying the Bible. Still,
So
but
you
I'm
had a
a believer,
foundation.
100%. Believe in God. I just, haven't found a church yet. You know what I mean?
I got you.
Since I've been here. I mean, I've traveled to different churches,
Right.
but I really haven't committed to
Okay.
going to church.
That
But I pray to God all the time.
would happen though. That would happen. You're good to the ground.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Okay, my final question for you, bro. What advice would you give a young person today that wants to get into the school system or be a teacher or something? What advice would you give someone in college, or thinking about going to college. You know, just like I'll give you an example. My granddaughter, she's born in New Haven. She lives in Charlotte right now, but she wants to go to Yale University.
Okay.
And I'm saying, wow. I mean, even when they came up last year, my daughter took me down to Yale, the campus, and she's only 13 years old. London. I asked her the other night, you still want to go to Yale? Oh yeah, Pop. I want to go to Yale. Right? And I'm saying to myself, man, I mean, how does she even know about Yale? But she's at here in New England, she's probably around 4 or 5 years old. But it's already instilled in her. What advice would you give someone like her that wants to go to Yale, or a kid that has that inspiration? What advice would you give?
Yeah. Couple. I would start with develop the habits of a high performing student. Like take it seriously. Like, you know, the path to college is clearly defined. Right. But you got to do those things. You got to come to school every day. You got to, you know, come prepared, do your homework, ask questions, and push yourself. Don't lowball. Every day you should be committed to being the best version of yourself in that classroom. You're there to learn. Take it seriously. So I would start there because look, our kids are every bit as capable as anybody else. That's right. I mean, there's nothing wrong with our kids' ability to learn, but we waste time. And we get in class and we want to joke and be friends and do the thing. And then out of 45 minutes, they're doing 30 minutes of instruction, where their counterparts are doing 45. You add that up. That's right. You got 9 periods in a day, 15 times 9. You start to do the math, and you realize you wasted a couple years of education over 13 years of education. And that's what's killing our kids. And so our kids have got to nail what does it mean to be a great student and nail those habits, man. Okay. And if we fix that, you'll see a trajectory change and the outcomes. That gap will close so quickly. And then the other side of it is be well-rounded. Right. Okay. Right. You know, because that's the thing. You have to try a little bit of everything, find out what your passions are, and their colleges now, especially the elite colleges, are looking for people who aren't just smart. Right. They're smart, but they're also well-rounded. They can socialize. They can do like all the things. So anytime she gets an opportunity to take on new challenges, do that. Okay. So you can speak to them when you're trying to compete with other people for that same opportunity. All right. I want to thank you. Our special guest tonight is my brother John Taylor. He's the founding principal of the Booker T. Washington School. I want to thank you, brother, for coming to W.J.R.G. Internet radio station and television channel. Okay. With Action First Broadcast and Dr. Wayne McCourty, man. It's been an honor, brother. Oh, right back at you. It's been an honor, boy, to get a chance to meet you. Great. You know how I feel about you. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And Dr. McCourty know everybody. Yeah. He would bring everybody in. I'm like, man, who's this guy? He's oh man, this guy. I love this brother. Yeah. Because he's the people's person, man. Yeah. All right, Dr. Wayne, close this out, brother. Well, listen, the only thing I would say, man, we got to have you back, man, and we got to come on location. And also, you know, one thing with communication, we know that is a tool. And Dr. Jerry, man, he's been dedicated and created this space. Man, we want to be able to bring some kids in for some internship, man, and be able to this craft that they can carry it on. Because we need to raise up the next generation, right? Right. So, you know, so I appreciate you, man, and thank God for you, man. And I know when I raised my hand, I said, need help, I know who to go to. And I appreciate you, man. Appreciate you so much. And we just thank God for you, man. We got to have you back. That's right. And I know it's going to be epic, man. I know it's going to be epic. So, you know, at Action First Broadcast and W.J.R.G. Internet Radio Station, KMI-TV, we want to thank you, man, again. And only thing I want to say is action first, and that's how we close out. So if you can say that with me, just say action first. WJRG. All right. God bless. All right. All right. Make sure.